Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. I hope that you are all well. And if you are new, thanks for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Especially if you are interested in Canadian literature, because I talk about that a lot all the time. But today I am talking about Canada Reads, and I am so excited. As most of you know, I live in Canada and I like to highlight Canadian literature as much as I can. I also like to follow some of the Canadian literary awards and competitions and prizes, and one of them is Canada Reads, which is different than any other book award or prize anywhere, at least that I know of. It is an annual book competition that CBC does, and it is basically a battle of the books to find the one book that all Canadians, or really everyone, should read. So every year there is a different theme. This year's theme is one book to shift your perspective, and CBC released the long list for this year's Canada Reads 2 days ago. So I thought that I would go over the long list with you, and I'm going to attempt to predict the books that I think will make the short list. There are 15 books on the long list, and in the past I have tried to read the minds of the Canada Reads people, and I've grouped books, according to theme, and I've tried to figure out how they are deciding this and what if they have enough diversity and just finding that right balance. And I've tried to come up with the short list that way. However, after interviewing Ali Hassan with my friends at Canada Reads American Style, and Ali is the host of the live debates for Canada Reads. So after, talking with him a number of times now, and last year talking with Mark Tewksbury and Rob Mabey, I'll leave a link to the video below, but Mark was a defender last year, and I really think that the long list is not what I thought it was. So for most literary long lists, there is some kind of criteria. And really, other than Canadian authors and books, I don't think there is a criteria for the Canada Reads long list. So I think the 5 defenders, have their books, and that will be the short list. And that will be announced on January 25th, along with who the defenders are. So they'll be announcing that. And the defenders are Canadian celebrities. But the long list is really, I think, books that I think CBC puts out to try and get some attention to some other, Canadian literature. And maybe they were considered by the defenders, but I don't think that they necessarily were. So this year, when I am choosing the shortlist, I am going to be very selfish, and I am going to choose them solely based on who I really want to make the shortlist, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see if I fare better. So let's take a look at the 15 books on the long list. I am going to go in the order that they have them listed. And I will leave links to all of the Canada Reads information in the description box below so you can check all of that out. So first is Ducks by Kate Beaton. This is a graphic novel, and it is not very often that a graphic novel has made it into the shortlist. I can only think of maybe one other time. Ducks has been getting a lot of attention though. This is Kate Beaton's memoir of her time working in the oil sands. And normally I would say, this has potential to be on the short list. It might be interesting to have a graphic novel in the debates. But because I'm being selfish this year, I am not putting this on my short list predictions list. The next book is Revery, A Year of Bees by Jenna Butler. I have to be honest here. This was not on my radar at all. This is also a memoir from an author here in Alberta, I believe, and she takes us through a year of beekeeping. So I like that this is now on my radar, and I will probably pick this up at some point. It sounds interesting to me. So I'll read it, whether it makes the shortlist or not. It is not going on my shortlist prediction though. The third book on the list is Half Bads in White Regalia by Cody Caetano. This is a third memoir. In the past, see, because there's now 3 memoirs, I would have forced myself to choose one of these because I would have thought that they were, potentially grouped together. So this is on my radar. It's another book that I will eventually read. It's about Cody's childhood and intergenerational trauma. I did not put this on my short list. The next book I did put on my shortlist prediction, and that is Greenwood by Michael Christie. I just finished this about a week ago, and I really enjoyed it. There are so many layers to this story. I love the structure, and I think that this would be a great book to discuss. It definitely fits the theme, and I'm so happy to see this on the long list. The next book was also not on my radar, but for those who watch my channel on a regular basis, you probably won't be surprised when I say that it is YA fantasy. So that's not usually my jam. But Blood Scion by Deborah Falaye has a gorgeous cover, and I'm not sure if YA fantasy has ever been debated before. So it could add something new. I did not put this on my list. Hana Carries On by Uzma Jalaluddin. I would love to see this on the short list. Selfishly, because it's gone unread on my shelves for way too long, and I think that this would be a great excuse to finally have to read it. I've talked about this book a few times on my channel already. This is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice with a Muslim twist. So I think it definitely works for the theme of shifting perspectives for sure. So this is the second book that I am putting on my shortlist predictions. Next is All the Seas of the World by Guy Gavriel K. Again, never heard of it, and it is fantasy as well. I'm also not sure if it's part of a series or just part of the same world as one of his series. I think it's great that it's getting attention on the long list. It is not on my short list. But if it does go forward, it is I would read it. There's something about it that I would read it. Dandelion by Jamie Liew, I hope that's correct, is a debut novel, which I have talked about before because I actually have a digital copy of this book and I still need to read it. So I think that this is a story about identity and belonging and reconciling 2 different worlds. That is totally my thing. And I considered this for my short list, but it's going to get an honorable mention at this point. We Were Dreamers by Simu Liew. I don't know a lot about this, but I do know a little bit about the author, sort of. And this is his memoir of how his family immigrated to Canada and how he became a Marvel superhero. So I think this story is interesting, but I'm not sure that Canada Reads is the right place for this one. It kind of reminds me a little bit like Alan Doyle's book a couple of years ago. I have a feeling that this will remain on the long list. The next book is also going to get an honorable mention from me, and this is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. I haven't read this yet, but I have been very intrigued by it. This is a Gothic horror book, which could be interesting for a debate, I think. I find people either really love it or really don't. It's definitely on my radar, and one day maybe I will find out which camp I'm in. Finding Edward by Sheila Murray is on my shortlist prediction. Again, selfishly, because it's been on my TBR for a while, and a number of people have raved to me about this book, and if it's as good as they all say, and these are people that I trust, their opinions, then this is a very underrated book that really needs some Canada Reads love. So I'd be very pleased if this makes the shortlist. Hotline by Dimitri Nasrallah. This was longlisted for the Giller Prize last year. So it is on my radar. This is about a Lebanese immigrant who works at a weight loss call center. And it appeals to me because it has a lot of 80s nostalgia. But it doesn't make my shortlist this time. Another horror-y psychological thriller book made the long list, which, means that if I was doing my shortlist the way that I used to do it, I probably would have picked, one of them. We Spread by Iain Reid. This is getting some attention for sure. I haven't read this one yet, but I did read Iain Reid's other book, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and he has an interesting writing style. So for me, this is not going on the short list, but it is on my radar. So if you're good at math, then you already know that we only have 2 books left. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that shake. And I've only chosen 3 books for my shortlist prediction, which means that both of these books are on my prediction list. So Moon of the Crusted Snow by Wabgashik Rice, and Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. So these are 2 books that when I saw them on the list, I was so excited. I may have done a little dance, and then I also couldn't believe that they hadn't been on Canada Reads in the past. So these are 2 books that, if you were paying attention to CanLit, at least in the last couple of years, then you have seen them over and over and over again. They are some CanLit faves, and rightfully so. So Moon of the Crusted Snow by Wab, who some of you may have seen the video where I had the opportunity to chat with Wab about his experience as a Giller Prize jury member. He was a jury member last year. This totally deserves to be on this list. And it would be really mean to put this on the long list if it's not going through. I don't think that they would play with my heart like that, or at least I hope not. So this book, which is a dystopian novel, became very well known, especially as we were experiencing our own pandemic. And the sequel is coming out in the fall. So this would be great to have out there. Station 11 is also a dystopian novel that I actually read only a few weeks before the COVID-19 pandemic started here. So I think both of these are timely. They would make for a great conversation and people would be invested. So, maybe what I might do, this might be fun, is to say what my shortlist would have been if I were doing this a different way, the way that I used to do it. And then I will recap on my real shortlist prediction this year, the one that I am being selfish with. And we can see on January 25th which list does better. So if I had chosen books like I have in the past, I would have chosen Mexican Gothic, I think, probably Dandelion, Moon of the Crusted Snow, Half Bads in White Regalia, and either Ducks or Hana Khan. I think I would have narrowed it down to Hana Khan Carries On. So that would have been my list, which is different. So since I am throwing caution to the wind and just picking the books that I'm really, really, really hoping and want to be on the list, my list is Greenwood by Michael Christie. Let's see if I can get these books here. Hana Khan Carries On by Uzma Jalaluddin. Finding Edward by Sheila Murray. Moon of the Crusted Snow by Wabgashig Rice. And Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. So I think that this would be an incredible shortlist. So we will see how well I do with my selfish shortlist prediction. The shortlist will be announced, as I said, along with who the 5 celebrity defenders are on January 25th. I have no idea who the defenders might be. I'm not even going to hazard a guess. Often I don't even know who they are. I will check in again though after the shortlist with my reaction and some Canada Reads info, and then the live debates take place from March 27th to the 30th, when a book is voted off each day until we are down to the one book all of Canada and others, like I said, should read. So once I have read all of the shortlisted books, I will do a winner's prediction before the debates start. So I will leave links below to all of the Canada Reads info. And please let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these books, or if there were any on the list that surprised you, any that you do want to read, and what are the 5 books that you would put on your short list. I want to hear all about that, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.